You and your partner both got promotions last year. Both of you are making more money than ever before. You should feel financially secure, right? So why does it feel like you have less money than when you were living in that tiny apartment 5 years ago, surviving on one income? Here's what nobody tells you. Two incomes don't make you twice as wealthy. Most of the time, they make you twice as trapped. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why the two-income household has become the biggest financial prison in America and how to escape it. My name is Fad, and I spend way too much time thinking about why couples who make $150,000 combined somehow feel broker than single people making $60,000. If you're someone who's part of a dual-income household but still living paycheck to paycheck despite making good money, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's the thing. When both partners work, you don't just double your income, you also double your expenses in ways you don't even realize. Let's do the math with a real example. Sarah and Mike. Sarah makes $55,000 a year, Mike makes $50,000. Combined household income, $105,000. After taxes, they're bringing home about $78,000 annually. That's $6,500 per month. They should be crushing it financially, right? Wrong. Here's what actually happens. Because both of them work, they need two cars. That's two car payments, $700 total, two insurance policies, $300, two sets of maintenance and gas, $400. Already, we're at $1,400 a month just on transportation. They can't cook dinner every night because they're both exhausted from work, so they eat out or order in 4 to 5 times a week. That's another $800 a month minimum. They need a bigger house because they both need home offices for remote work days, plus they deserve a nicer place since they're both working so hard. Rent or mortgage, $2,200 instead of the $1,400 they could afford on one income. Childcare? If they have kids, that's $1,500 to $2,500 per month because neither of them can stay home. Professional wardrobes for both of them, dry cleaning, the I deserve this purchases after a hard week, the convenience expenses because there's no time, grocery delivery fees, that premium gym membership you barely use, the cleaning service because who has time to clean? Add it all up, and here's what most people don't realize. That second income doesn't give you financial freedom. It chains you to a lifestyle that requires both incomes just to survive. So let's break down what that second income actually nets you. And this is where it gets really interesting. Mike's $50,000 salary sounds great, but let's look at the actual value. Federal and state taxes, $11,000. Social Security and Medicare, $3,825. Second car payment and insurance, $12,000 annually. Second car gas and maintenance, $3,600. Additional childcare costs, $18,000, since one parent could watch the kids otherwise. Professional wardrobe and dry cleaning, $1,200. Additional convenience spending, eating out, services, $6,000. Higher tax bracket pushing some of Sarah's income into higher taxes, $2,000. Total costs of Mike working, $67,625. Mike's salary, $50,000. Wait, let me say that again. The second income is costing them $7,625 more than it brings in. But Fad, you're thinking, that can't be right. People wouldn't work if it cost them money. Except they don't do this math. They just see the $50,000 and think they're $50,000 richer. They're not calculating the true cost. Now, I'm not saying Mike's situation is everyone's situation, but here's the brutal truth from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. For families with children, the second income typically nets between $8,000 and $15,000 after all expenses. That's it. You're working 40 hours a week, missing time with your kids, stressed out of your mind for less than $15,000 in actual additional wealth.
Look, here's where this gets psychological. When you have two incomes, you unconsciously inflate your lifestyle to match. There's research from Elizabeth Warren, the senator, but before that she was a bankruptcy law professor who literally wrote a book called The Two-Income Trap. She found that two-income families go bankrupt at higher rates than single-income families making the same total amount. Why? Because two-income families commit to fixed expenses based on having both incomes. The bigger house, the two car payments, the expensive childcare, the convenience services. But here's what most people don't realize. Those fixed expenses aren't based on one income or two incomes. They're based on needing two incomes. The moment one person loses their job or wants to change careers or has a health issue, the entire house of cards collapses. Single-income families, on the other hand, have already optimized their lifestyle around one income. They have margin, they have flexibility. One partner could get a job and that income would be almost entirely additional wealth, not additional survival. Here's the thing that nobody talks about. Two incomes create what I call golden handcuffs. You can't quit your job because your family needs your income. Your partner can't quit their job because your family needs their income. You're both trapped in careers you might not even like because your lifestyle demands it. I see this all the time. Couples in their 30s saying, "We'll do what we love later," or "We're just getting through this phase." But there is no later. 20 years pass, you've spent the best years of your life working jobs you tolerate instead of love, and for what? To afford a lifestyle that required you to work those jobs in the first place. It's a prison, a comfortable prison with a nice kitchen and two car payments, but a prison nonetheless. So this is going to sound controversial, but stay with me. Let's say one partner stays home or works part-time. What do they gain? Time to meal prep, which saves $500 to $800 per month on food costs. Time to maintain the house, saving $200 to $400 on cleaning and maintenance services. Time to handle errands during the day instead of premium evening delivery fees. Time to shop sales and plan purchases instead of emergency convenience buying. But here's where it gets really interesting. Time to potentially start a side business, time to learn new skills, time to manage the family's finances properly, which for most families would save $500 plus monthly just from better money management. And the big one nobody talks about, time with your kids during their formative years. I'm not saying everyone needs to be a stay-at-home parent, but let me ask you this. When you're 65, are you going to regret missing those years with your kids, or are you going to regret not having a slightly bigger house? Research from the Journal of Marriage and Family shows that one parent working part-time or staying home doesn't just reduce stress, it typically improves the family's financial stability because someone actually has time to manage the household efficiently. Now, you might be thinking, "Thad, this all sounds nice, but we literally can't survive on one income." Cool. Let's test that, because here's what most people don't realize. You probably already are living on less than you think. Take Sarah and Mike from earlier. Combined take-home, $6,500 per month. But remember, Mike's income after the costs of him working is only adding about $1,000 per month of actual value, so they're really living on $5,500 of actual wealth creation. If Mike stayed home and they cut the expenses of him working, eliminate second car payment and insurance, plus $1,000 per month. Reduce eating out by 70%, plus $560 per month. Eliminate childcare, plus $1,500 per month. Reduce housing by moving to a smaller place or cheaper area, plus $600 per month. Reduce convenience spending, plus $400 per month. Total monthly reduction, $4,060. They'd be living on Sarah's $4,875 take-home, her $55,000 after taxes, plus having eliminated $4,060 in expenses. Effectively, they're in a better financial position than with two incomes once you account for all the hidden costs. And here's the kicker. Mike now has 40 hours a week to potentially earn money in more flexible ways. Freelancing, starting a business, working part-time during Sarah's off hours. Any income he generates isn't just $50,000 minus massive overhead. It's almost pure profit because the fixed costs are already covered. Look, here's what this is really about. Flexibility is worth more than money. When you need two incomes to survive, you have zero negotiating power. Bad boss? Tough, you need this job. Want to change careers? Too risky, bills are due. Company wants you to relocate? You have to consider if your partner can find equivalent work. But when your lifestyle is built on one income, the second income becomes pure opportunity. Want to start a business? Go for it. The bills are covered. Want to take a year to learn a new skill? Do it. Partner gets an amazing opportunity across the country? Move, and the other can find work once settled. There's actual research on this. A study from the Federal Reserve found that households with more financial flexibility, defined as being able to cover expenses on one income, reported significantly higher life satisfaction and lower stress, even if they had less total income, than dual-income households.
Here's where this gets uncomfortable. Most couples don't actually need two incomes. They need two incomes to pay for the lifestyle they've already committed to. That's the trap. You bought the house that required two incomes, you leased two cars, you enrolled the kids in the expensive school. You built a life that has no margin, no flexibility, no room to breathe. And here's what really makes me frustrated. Society tells you this is success. Two professional careers, a nice house in a good school district, new cars. But if that success means you're both exhausted, never see your kids, have no savings, and can't quit jobs you hate, is that really success? All right, enough doom and gloom. Here's how you actually escape this trap. Step 1. Calculate your true second income value. Take the second income's gross pay. Subtract taxes, work-related expenses, transportation, childcare, wardrobe, convenience spending. What's the actual net benefit? For most people, it's shockingly low. Step 2. Stress test your budget on one income. What would you have to change to live on just the primary income? Be specific. Smaller house, one car, different neighborhood, home-cooked meals. Most families find they can cut expenses by $1,500 to $3,000 monthly without dramatically impacting quality of life. Step 3. Build a runway. Don't quit the second job tomorrow. Instead, start living as if you're already on one income. Bank the entire second income for 6 to 12 months. This builds your emergency fund and proves you can actually do it. Step 4. Redesign the second income. Maybe the answer isn't one person fully staying home. Maybe it's one person working part-time, or freelancing, or starting a business. The goal is flexibility, not necessarily zero income from that person. Step 5. Downsize your fixed expenses first. The house is the biggest trap. That car payment is the second. If you can reduce these, you free up enormous monthly cash flow. A smaller house isn't a failure, it's freedom. Here's what most people don't realize. There's a completely different way to think about two incomes. Instead of both people working full-time in traditional jobs to fund a lifestyle, what if you built a lifestyle around one stable income and used the second person's time to create asymmetric opportunities? One partner has the stable W-2 job with benefits. The other partner focuses on high upside activities, starting a business, investing time in learning high-value skills, managing the family's finances expertly, creating content, building assets. This approach has capped downside. The stable income covers necessities, but unlimited upside. The entrepreneurial activities could 10x your income. Compare that to two W-2 jobs, capped upside, high stress, no flexibility. I know multiple couples who've done this. One partner making $60K at a stable job. Other partners spent 2 years building a business that now generates $150K annually with flexible hours. They're financially way ahead of their peers making $120K combined at two traditional jobs, and they actually see each other. So I have to address this because it's the elephant in the room. What about the kids? Here's the research that nobody wants to hear. According to developmental psychology studies, kids don't need expensive activities, premium schools, or perfect schedules. They need present parents. A kid being raised by two stressed, exhausted parents who are always working is generally worse off than a kid with one parent working and one parent present, even if that means a smaller house or fewer activities. I'm not saying everyone should quit their job to raise kids. I'm saying the math on childcare is often backwards. You're paying $20,000 a year so you can earn an extra $15,000 after taxes and expenses. That's literally paying money to not raise your own kids. If that's worth it because you love your career, great. But most people don't love their job that much. They just feel trapped by the lifestyle they've built. Look, here's what this is really about. Are you working to live or living to work? Because here's the harsh reality. If you need two incomes to survive, you're not building wealth, you're building a prison. Wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about the gap between what you make and what you need. A couple making $150,000 who needs $145,000 to survive is broke. A couple making $70,000 who needs $45,000 to survive is wealthy. And the crazy part, the second couple probably has a better quality of life, less stress, more time, more flexibility, more options. Here's something nobody wants to hear. If you can't afford your lifestyle on one income, you can't actually afford your lifestyle. You're just pretending you can by having both people work themselves to exhaustion. And the moment anything disrupts that, job loss, health issues, wanting to change careers, a pandemic, the entire structure collapses. Single-income families have already built in that resilience. They've already made the hard choices about what's necessary versus what's nice to have. And because of that, they have options. Look, I get it. Everything I've said goes against what society tells you success looks like. Two professionals, big house, new cars, busy schedule. That's supposed to be the dream. But here's what you need to understand. The two-income trap is real, and it's keeping millions of families broke despite making good money. You're not building wealth by having two incomes. You're often just covering the costs of having two incomes. You're trapped in careers you might not love, paying for a lifestyle you don't have time to enjoy, missing the years with your kids that you can't get back. The escape isn't easy. It requires challenging every assumption about what you need. It requires downsizing, simplifying, getting comfortable with having less stuff, but more life. But here's what I know. Every couple I've seen make this shift, building their life around one stable income and using the other person's time for flexibility and opportunity, they never regret it. Not one. So here's what you're going to do. Calculate your true second income value. Be honest about what that income is actually netting you after all the costs. Then ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth the stress, the time, the lack of flexibility? Because two incomes should make you wealthier. If they're not, you're not in a two-income household. You're in a two-income prison, and it's time to break out. If this changed how you think about dual incomes, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment with your household income and whether you feel financially secure. I want to hear the real numbers. And check out my video on living below your means linked below, because that's the next step in this journey. Thanks for watching. Now go do that math on your second income. The truth might surprise you.